Happy 4th of July weekend, technically, coming up. It's only Wednesday, but hey, it's the weekend is coming not too far from now. 3-day weekend for most people. And this is the Comic Haul, my weekly show where I talk about all the stuff that I got at the comic store this week. Now, who the hell am I? I'm Dylan Lang. I actually have another YouTube show called Dylan Knows, which is usually on Saturday nights or Sunday afternoons. This weekend, it might not be on until 4th of July because Saturday I've got plans, Sunday I got plans, but Monday I don't. Believe it or not, 4th of July I do not. So hopefully we'll be able to do one Sunday night or rather, I'm sorry, Monday night or maybe Saturday night by myself, or I can find somebody, we'll see. But right now, we're not talking about that. We're talking about comics. And this is the Comic Haul. This is the Comic Haul for the week of 4th of July weekend. It's June 29th right now. It's a bizarre week because it is a fifth Wednesday. Fifth Wednesdays are an interesting thing in comics. It happens obviously every so often. And what they used to do was sometimes they would do fifth week storylines. So maybe it would be a story, a crossover that would fill the whole month and end in the fifth week, because not a lot comes out in the fifth week because you have so many books coming out and you don't want to, usually you're working on a 4-week period. So when you have an extra week, you're like, well, maybe I can push this one off to next week or whatever, for whatever reason, maybe give the creative team an extra week or so to get their stuff done and whatever. Or in a lot of cases, recently, annuals used to just be during the summer, but now annuals appear all the time. And the biggest time when annuals appear is obviously around the fifth week when there's a fifth Wednesday. In this case, we have a fifth Wednesday, and so not a lot of stuff came out this week. It is also the last week of the month, which means previews comes out. And I'm not going to really discuss previews because I really haven't had a chance to look at it. But previews is the comic book catalog that Diamond does for retailers. And what they do is it gives them, this is July's for books coming out in September. So, those books, so it gives a chance for the comic book stores to order in advance by 2 weeks, and then not 2 weeks, but 2 months. So they have a chance to change their orders when it gets closer to the printing date, which is about a month or so out. I used to work at Diamond, so I know it pretty good. But it gives you an inside look at where the stories are going, and technically it has a lot of spoilers. Or they've been trying a pretty good job to not show spoilers, knowing that people are seeing it a full 2 months ahead of time. But sometimes you still like, okay, this is pretty interesting. But it gives you a chance to see what creative teams are going to be on it, anything new that's coming out. It also does, it's the Diamond Previews catalog, so it's not just comics. It also does books, it does toys, it does videos. It used to do videos. I don't know if it does anymore. Gaming stuff, posters, all kinds of great stuff. I was also what is it? What do they call it? A rep. Geez, it's late, so I'm not even going to talk about it right now. But I did work on the Previews magazine itself for a while too, and I had posters, and I also did like comic stores, comic book vendors from like H to O or something like that. So kind of interesting. Anyway, that's besides the point. But I haven't had a chance to look at previews. From what I've just seen right now, just leave through it quickly. Doom Patrol's coming out. There's Tarzan on the Planet of the Apes, which is actually a really interesting idea, and some other neat stuff. So I'll take a look at that better. Maybe when I do my comic show, whenever that is, because MJ Con will not be able to work with me this weekend since it's 4th of July weekend. We shall see. So So what I'm doing here is the comic haul. These are all comics that came out this week. It is the end of the month, so that's where the previews came in. So it always comes out the end of the month. So even if it's the 5th week, it'll come out then. But this is all I got this week. It's a bit thicker because I got more trades this week. First up, I usually do it in order of DC, Marvel, and then Independence. Well, guess what? DC had nothing I wanted to get. They had some annuals and some reprints, and they didn't have anything with Rebirth, so they were wrapping up some of their old series from the old DC universe. So they were wrapping that up. So no DC's comics this week because there really wasn't anything I wanted to get, but there's some good Marvel ones to begin with. First one is Captain America #2. Now, everyone got the big crazy story the first issue, and the first issue had Captain America hailing Hydra, and everybody's like, oh great, now he's Captain Hydra, he's a bad guy. He's been a bad guy for years, he's been deep cover. But we learn later on that you should have just stuck with waiting for the story, because we find out the actual story behind all that in this issue. So obviously it's a pretty interesting book to get out on Independence Day weekend for America. Captain America being the epitome of America. So there you go. So check it out. It's got written by Nick Spencer with art by Jesus Saez. There's a good Red Skull picture there. Art looks pretty good as usual. Let me see if I can get a good Cap picture. Cap doesn't even really he appears in this at all, hardly ever. A little bit near, but not really. He appears not to be more in this all that much. Interesting stuff. So we will see what happens. But Captain America #2, check it out. This has been running a little late, but they apologized for it, and it's worth the wait because it's actually been a really good book. This is Black Panther #3. It's written by Ta-Nehisi Coates with art by Brian Stelfreeze. It's a very interesting take on the Black Panther. Black Panther has always been, the boss of Wakanda, and Wakanda's always been peaceful and helpful and stuff like that. But now things are happening, which is causing issues for T'Challa. And so now we're finding a time when Wakanda is not in a good shape right now, and how he is going to try to bring it back into shape. So we'll see what happens, but that's Black Panther #3. It's been a good series so far. Very interesting reading with his appearance in Civil War. It's helped out a lot, reviving interest in the character. I like the character, but technically I got this one for my wife, and I will give it to her later tonight after I do the show. But this is Captain Marvel #6. It is I believe the only Civil War crossover I got this week. Yes, it's the only Civil War crossover I got this week. There's a couple other ones out there, but as I said, I'm not going to buy every single Civil War crossover. I'm not going to buy every Civil War mini series that they're adding to it. These are just books that I like to read. As I said, this is just a small sampling. Granted, the 5th week there's not a lot of books out. Marvel had quite a few actually, but these are just books that I like to get. So go check out your comic book store to see if there's something else you like, but this is what I like. It's Captain Marvel #6. It's written by Christos Gage and Ruth Fletcher Gage, apparently, and art by Chris Anka. So my wife loves Captain Marvel. I love Captain Marvel. She actually has a full Captain Marvel costume. That's really cool. She'll put it on for Comic-Con or Halloween or whatever. So just some interesting, stuff going on. But Captain Marvel is front and center in Civil War II. And from what I was looking through it real quick, it doesn't look like you really need to have read what's going on in Civil War to understand what's happening. But it's, if you want to check it out, check it out. But that's Captain Marvel #6. I've never been a big fan of Deadpool, but I've been a big fan of Spider-Man, and I like the creative team on here, but apparently the creative team is taking a break this week because this is Spider-Man Deadpool #6, and it is written by Scott Aukerman with penciling by Riley Brown, inks by Rick Magyar, LeBeau Underwood, and Scott Hanna. And it's pretty good. I mean, they appear to be a good match to team up with each other, and enough so that they got a book out of it. And it's much as you expect, it's silly with Deadpool and Spider-Man together. Let's see, I heard there's a really killer. Yeah, there it is. Batman. There's a killer Batman versus Superman joke right there near the end. So you got to check that out just for that. So if you didn't like Batman versus Superman, check that out also. But I was able to catch up a couple weeks ago on the haul with the first 5 issues that were in second. Well, the first 3 were in second printings. My store had 4 and 5, so I got those. So here's number 6. But I like Spider-Man, and maybe Deadpool will grow on me. But right now, we'll see. But I've got it because it's Spider-Man and Deadpool, and I like the create team, and hopefully they'll be back on again later. But that artwork didn't look too bad, so we'll see what happens. This has been an interesting book. Mockingbird number 4. Obviously, Mockingbird got the series due to her appearance on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's not quite the same as the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Expected. It's nice. It looks like J. Scott Campbell. I know it's not, but it's a nice cover. And that's Hawkeye, who used to be her husband. So it's written by Chelsea Kane with art by Kate Nimzik, inks by Sean Parsons. So you got 2 females working on the series. It's a really nice looking book. I've done some of the reading of it. It's actually really entertaining. And the fact is, I've always liked Mockingbird and Hawkeye together, and so we get to see a little bit more of that in here. And so very interesting. So Mockingbird is good. It's issue number 4, so you can probably still get caught up pretty good and pretty easily on that one. And last but not least, the last Marvel I have today is Daredevil Punisher number 2. This is a double-sized book. It's written by Charles Soule with layouts by Riley Brown, pencils and inks by Simon Kudransky, who's actually a pretty good artist, actually. I mean, look at it this way. I've always I think he's doing the Black Eyed Children's book that I get also from Aftershock. So it's pretty cool. So obviously this was made using the current Daredevil and Punisher in the Marvel Comics universe, but the reason why the comic is out is due to the fact of the Netflix TV series. So this is it's a thicker book, so you get a little bit more of a bigger price point on it, but it's Daredevil and Punisher, and the 2 of them together are good. And it's Charles Soule, so Charles Soule, I think, is the writer on Daredevil right now, actually, the regular series. So that's it for Marvel. As I said, there were no DC comics that I wanted to get this week. It's probably all going to change the next week because it'll be the beginning of the month, and we'll probably get some more rebirths and some of the continuing rebirths, stuff like that. So we're going to go full throttle with DC starting next week. But for now, we don't have anything to break. If there was a book of the week, I suppose, it would probably have to be this one. It is Cryptocracy number 1 from Dark Horse. It's written by Van Jensen with art by Pete Woods, who is a very pretty astute penciler, regular, nothing too outlandish, too crazy. But basically, it's about a secret government that runs the world and how they deal with situations. Got a good review on Ain't It Cool News' comic site last week. They got a preview book of it. So Pete Woods used to do the artwork for Robin, and of course Van Jensen's fantastic. So Cryptocracy, number 1 book of the week. I would make the case for being the book of the week, and I suggest you check it out. It's a number 1, so why not? What do you got to lose, right? Another number 1 that might be interesting. It's from a new comic company called Albatross, and this is Hillbilly number 1 by Eric Powell. Eric Powell is the guy who created, draws, and writes The Goon for Dark Horse. This is another of his creator-owned books, and basically it's, from what I've read the description, it's a fantasy story that takes place in the West Virginia woods. So you have this guy who goes around and hunts demonic, fantastic creatures in the woods of West Virginia, and that's why he's called Hillbilly. So Eric Powell's Goon is one of the best comics out there, and Hillbilly looks like it's on pace to be similar to that. It's always good to have American fantasy and stuff like that mixed together. So, and gorgeous artwork by Eric Powell. So Hillbilly #1 is also new this week, and it's a new comic company in Albatross. So you might want to buy their first type of comic. It's a bit smaller than your typical. Let's see if you can actually tell the difference. It's very slight, but it just feels a little bit smaller than normal. So, but still looks good. And here's the back cover, so it's really good. So, Hillbilly, it's always good to help out independent guy, and Eric Powell's a good one to do that for. Jumping back to Dark Horse. Gail Simone is one of my favorite writers, and she's been doing a little bit here and there. And my one viewer who was watching has gone to go pick up Hillbilly, hopefully, or Cryptocracy. Anyway, Gail Simone is, she created her own independent comic called Megalopolis. And so it was originally a graphic novel. And so Dark Horse decided to give it maybe a mini series. So she brought Jim Califor, who is her artist on this project. And basically it's like a brutal superhero story: blood, gore, sex, nudity, vicious Watchmen-esque style stuff. See, there's some sex there, and Jim Califor is fantastic artist, and was on Secret Six with her. So the two of them together is fantastic, and to give Gail a chance to do these outrageous characters and be truly violent and go absolutely apeshit crazy is fantastic. So Leaving Megalopolis, actually, it is Leaving Megalopolis #5 is out this week. Gorgeous artwork by Jim Califor, great story by Gail Simone. Another book I bought for my wife, but I like it too because I'm a Nuvian. I'm a fairly. I've been a Doctor Who fan for a couple of years, but I've never actually fully watched everything yet. I've watched up to the first, starting with the 9th Doctor all the way up to the 10th Doctor. I've almost in his last season right now, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and look at it again. So hopefully I will get a chance to do that too. But Titan Comics does Doctor Who comics. They do 9, 10, 11, 12. They did a War Doctor one shot. They do 5. I think they're doing a 3 in there. So they got all that stuff. But my wife loves 9, and 9's #3, issue #3 of Doctor Who. The 9th Doctor is out this week. And it's written by Cavan Scott with art by Adriana Mello. And so it's your typical crazy Doctor Who stories with Rose and Captain Jack and 9 and the creatures that they dealt with during his one season. So it's a nice looking book. Adriana Mello is a really good artist, and I've liked her work before on other stuff. So it's good to see 9 getting his stuff again. And so, but yeah, these are all the different Doctor Who books that there are out there. So you've got lots of different Doctor Who books. So check it out, Doctor Who, the 9th Doctor #3. Those are ongoing. There was a mini series that came out a while back. It's now in trade format too, so you can pick that up at your trade paperbacks if you want. And this is the regular series. So 2 comic books for my wife. And the next one is one for my daughter. It's an interesting thing behind it, and is the only thing from DC. It is the DC Superhero Girls Finals Crisis. Now, for those who don't know what the DC Superhero Girls are, Target has done their own, not created, but they made their own superhero lineup for girls, and they've got like Barbie style dolls, they've got action figures, they've got costumes, they've got novels, and they have trades now. They have TV series. Well, occasionally it's specials, more like specials that come out. But it's basically the DC superhero girls all go to school together, and it's their adventures in school. It's like Monster High, but for superheroes. In this case, you've got Batgirl, Supergirl, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman, Katana, and Bumblebee are the main characters in this. And Changeling adds a little bit of male stuff in there, and Commissioner Gordon's in it, and there's some other stuff. But it's technically for your girls. I got my daughter the Ivy doll. So I think she'll like this. I mean, it's obvious it's for kids, but you might want to. It's for girls especially, but you might want to check it out. And I think it looks really cute. And this is the staff Gorilla Grodd's in there too. But yeah, it's basically like Monster High, but with superheroes. And it's a good way to get young girls into comics. Yeah, because obviously with young girls, they're not going to want to jump right in and read Spider-Man and Wonder and Iron Man and all those. They're going to want to get something more female-oriented for them. And then as they get older, they can start spreading their wings a little bit more and trying out other stuff. But this is a good entryway into it. The action figures and the dolls are really great. I mean, her Poison Ivy doll I got her was fantastic, and I think I got her a Batgirl one also. But they've got a bunch of them out there, and she's read the one novel that has come out. So it's a prose novel that focused on Wonder Woman. There's a new prose novel coming out, I think this week or next week, which focuses on Supergirl. So I picked that up. This is the only thing from DC that I picked up that I wanted to get. It's for my daughter. I don't know if I'm going to give it to her yet, but it's cute, and I think she'll like it a lot because she likes the series. So if you have a young girl, you want to try to get into comic books, go to Target, pick up some of the action figures or the dolls. They usually have an end cap display of them, and pick this up as well. And maybe check out some videos on YouTube, or I think, was it Disney or Nickelodeon? One of those two is showing, or Cartoon Network are showing the cartoon. But I mean, go to YouTube, you'll be able to find it. But definitely go to Target first, get some dolls, stuff like that. And if you want to get your daughters involved with it, there you go. The other two trades are Marvel trades. I came into, after Secret Wars, Marvel went into decided to try some different things. And that was during the time that I really wasn't buying comics that much. So now I'm getting caught back up with the trades. I bought this one last weekend at my store, which had the special half off trade paperbacks, and it came out last week, but I wanted to get it anyway. This is Red Wolf, collects issues 1 through 6 of the Red Wolf book. It's no longer an ongoing, so you just have this, but it's about it's a Native American hero. One of my favorite comic books wasn't really about a Native American hero, but more of a Mexican one. By the name of El Diablo by DC, and it was really good. And this has just got clean artwork and a really interesting story and an interesting different superhero character. So if you wanted something different, I'd recommend picking up the Red Wolf trade. This has been out for a week now, so you would probably check out the trade shelves at your local comic book store. It's written by Nathan Edmondson with art by Dalibor Talyajic, with inks by Jose Marzan Jr., who's been around for a long time. But just a great looking book, and I cannot wait to read it. El Diablo was one of my absolute favorites, and I wish this still had a regular book, but we'll see what happens. But I'm dying to read this, so hopefully it'll be good. I got that last week. This week, I could have waited. Actually, I didn't know that they were going to have their sale start on Friday because of the 4th of July weekend. I could have gone on Friday, picked this up at half price, but I really wanted to get it. He only had 2 copies. I was afraid they were going to sell out of them because I've heard a lot of good things about this book, and I haven't had a chance to read it. So I had to get the trade. That's The Vision, trade volume 1. Tom King, who is now writing Batman, is the writer, with Gabriel Hernandez. Oh, I'm sorry, not Gabriel Hernandez, Walta. With Gabriel Hernandez Walta doing the artwork. It's about what if the Vision decided to have a family, and it's been a really, again, a very unique story and a weird take on life and things, and just a lot of current event stuff. It's a 6-issue. This collects the first 6 issues. It's still an ongoing, and just it's a robot trying to figure out life in the real world. So it looks good. I've been dying to read this for a while, and I'm so glad that I got it. So I'm going to read this and devour it. I'm going to love it. So that is it for this week's The Comic Haul. I said not a lot coming out this week. Next week, there'll probably be a lot of DC Rebirth stuff coming up and anything else. So real quick, I want to give a quick shout out to the Comic Hangout. That's been around for 3 years. Their final episode is going to be airing tomorrow, live via YouTube and Google Plus and stuff like that. It was 3 lovely ladies. It's been knocked down to 2. And they've decided they're going to hang it up after 100 and some episodes. So they've got creative writers and artists on there and interviewed them and did all kinds of fun stuff. But other things have been popping up. So they were one of the reasons why I wanted to get into doing something like this. So shout out, a salute to you guys, Allison, Karen, and even you, Jessica, a little bit, even though you're not involved with it. And of course, Scotty as well. Here's to you guys. Around 9 o'clock tomorrow will be the last episode of the Comic Hangout. I'm sure you can check the links, and I'll probably be retweeting stuff, so you can go follow me and I'll retweet it to you. So it'll be depressing, but they're out. They're gone, and they're moving on to bigger and brighter things. So without further ado, I want to wish you all a happy 4th of July weekend. I will see you sometime this weekend doing a new episode of Dylan Knows. I don't know if it's going to be Saturday night, Monday night, Monday afternoon, Monday morning. It all depends how things are. It's not going to be Sunday because that's my family get-together. We usually get together on 4th of July, but since 4th of July is on a Monday and we have to go to work the next day, we're going to do it on Sunday so we can take an extra day off between it, and it'll be fun. It'll be Sunday. It's supposed to be a nice weekend weather-wise, so it'll be good. So happy 4th of July to everybody out there. Go to your comic book store. My comic book store has it's a 4-day sale going on starting Friday and going through Monday. Check out your local stores. They might have specials going on for 4th of July weekend. My store is open only 4 hours on 4th of July, but it's still open, so that's kind of cool. But I've already got everything I need right now, and I probably should have waited to get the Vision, but I didn't know they were going to have their event Friday till after I had left and paid for it. And they only had 2 copies, so I wanted to make sure I got a copy of the Vision. So I highly recommend the 2 trades I showed you, and all the comics I showed you as well. So next week, the return of DC, probably some new Rebirth stuff and some new number 1s, 2s, or 3s of the new series. So good for them, and we'll see what Marvel decides to do and release anything new next week as well. But for now, you got yourself good stuff to read. So have a great 4th of July weekend again, and I'll see you sometime this weekend. Bye-bye.